Atomic Heart is first and foremost a frustrating game to play. It's also a beautifully realised world whose immersion should be unquestioned and lauded. Instead, it's ruined by poor game decisions, bang average writing and plot. It most definitely is your classic case of style over substance. Hell, I'd argue it's style over enjoyment. To go around every single piece of furniture and keep hold of the goddamn button, man. Again, looks cool. Functionality. The art direction, set designs, Soviet era take on modern music and lore will reel you in big time and quickly. It was excellent. The music, the scene setting, the pace. I don't know what else you say. That was a top tier opening. Talk about winning me over in the first 5 minutes. I'm in. I'm strapped in. Let's go. But that's all very early on. It quickly gives way to a host of unweirdly elongated puzzle sections that lack any clear direction. This guy over here, look at him. This is what I feel like right now. Yeah? I feel like this guy right here while playing this game. Right now. As in, at this very moment, I feel like this dude. This is what's happening to me. That's what it feels like when you're playing Atomic Heart. Moving on from that, the open world is an absolute chore. You have to trudge through it with a combat and gameplay loop that doesn't really make sense when you pair it with the crafting and inventory systems the game gives you. Do you see the amount of ammo enemies take, the amount of times enemies respawn and come back in the game and get repaired? A storage system that includes ammo in the storage is just, again, it's not thought through. Mix this with poor or just completely lacking enemy variety, bullet sponge bosses, mini bosses and standard enemies. Fun as it looks? And the answer is no. It's definitely not. Phenomenal. Absolutely groundbreaking boss fight. Who, by the way, consistently rise from the dead like the love child of Lazarus and Terminator 1000. And what that ends up with is a game that ideologically should work, but in reality leads to the feeling of being oppressed, and it also has like a one-tone gameplay that loses its appeal quickly. I've not even touched on the bugs, and I had a few really back-breaking bugs in the PC version of the game. Wait. No, it didn't. No, it can't have. That's got to be wrong. I'm not doing it. I'll quit the game if I have to do all that again.
You can really tell we're on the threshold.
I haven't touched on the story or the myriad of bizarre choices that have been made here that honestly obstruct your ability to enjoy the incredible world and communist utopia Mundfish have built. Overall, I'm feeling a frustrated rating for Atomic Heart. It's an average game in a beautiful cinematic world. So with my reviews, I do enjoy delving into intricate details of what makes a game good or bad. By doing so, I aim to provide you, the viewer, with a clear understanding of my thought process behind my praise or criticism. I make a conscious effort to be transparent about the fact that I've not only played the game, but also engaged in its core gameplay sufficiently to offer a credible opinion. And with that being said, I'm going to delve into my criticisms of Atomic Heart. Okay, before we move on, let's do 5 weird and wonderful things in Atomic Heart, and boy, there's a lot of weird and wonderful things in Atomic Heart. Number 1, the music is sensational. Mick Gordon, stand up, yet another incredible album, soundtrack, whatever, to put on his portfolio. This stuff could belong in a best of Chemical Brothers album. Absolutely excellent. DJ's back on shift. Oh, listen to that, it's so good. Oh yeah. Number 2, Terminator flashbacks. I mean, you will be chased by these creepy looking robots a lot, and when you kill them, they will come back to life and they'll chase you again. Something. What the fuck is this? Are you joking? If you feared or have traumatic flashbacks about Terminator, you know, when he came out of that liquid goop and kind of reformed and started chasing Sarah Connor again, you probably won't enjoy this. Number 3, talk to the bodies. I absolutely loved talking to the last memories of many of the dead humans in Atomic Heart. It just added extra layer of personality to the game that I felt it was missing at times. So definitely don't pass up the conversations.
I can't. I just can't. I can't leave this place, literally.
You don't have a spare ticket, do you, comrade?
A ticket? Yes, I do have a ticket, but it's useless.
And number 4, Nora.
Got a sword, a massive sword. Thrust it deep into my socket so I can make it sturdier and sharper.
Nora can upgrade weapons and equipment, as well as manufacture.
Nora seems like a kind of low bar stroke net to cast in maybe younger players or to look good on TikTok. If you have a partner, I would definitely play this game on headphones, because if your partner hears Nora, she's gonna be asking some questions. It feels like it's thrown in just to, like, you know, it's like a net that's just been cast to like rope a few people in. You know, things that'll sound good. You put it on TikTok and people are like, oh, what's that game? And it's like a pervy fridge talking to you. Yeah, let me go play that. That's what that feels like to me. And number 5 is cars, specifically ladders. For all the technological advancement that this society has had in Soviet Russia, they didn't manage to progress past the ladder.
They said this would be a people's car, Russia's answer to the Mini and the 2CV.
And an extremely combustible ladder at that. La 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 la. Fucking hell, these combustible cars are a problem. Especially in a world where robots are shooting at you. And that's 5 weird and wonderful things about Atomic Heart. There's a convergence of multiple issues in Atomic Heart which results in significant problems. Atomic Heart features a crafting mechanism which encompasses ammunition and restricted inventory capacity. The ammunition can solely be created at assigned kiosks or dropped sparingly by enemies, but without the ammunition you are confined to employing melee weapons and 3 spells. The cycle of ammunition constraints, enemies that absorb a significant amount of bullets, scarceness of resources to create ammunition, and inadequately positioned ammunition crafting stations results in extremely inconsistent combat and a great deal of frustration. The positioning of these storage things, like, you'll go through some levels, there's not one for 30 minutes, and you go through a level and there's 3 in about 30 seconds. The placement of save stations and crafting stations seems to be carried out in complete random, as if the individual responsible had a blindfold on and he was just playing a game of pin the crafting station on the donkey. Just to give a small example here, and it's a small sample size, there's a boss and there's a clip before the boss telling you about a possible weakness this boss has. But that weakness is assigned to a specific skill, and the nearest station where you could change your skill was about 20 minutes back. Right, so they've gone, oh yeah, you should have this skill that's really going to help you in this boss fight, but there's not a recalibration station anywhere near this boss fight. Add to this that the enemy variety is not only lacking, it's boring. You shoot them a lot or hack at them with your axe and they die. Those issues I've just stated all culminate to really make a unenjoyable combat experience. Atomic Heart's combat also features a knockdown mechanism, and I do believe this was intended to introduce some intensity to the combat. But in the end, it results in these robotic enemies knocking you over silently from behind, causing you to be knocked to the ground. The problem is just made worse by the absence of a radar and the fact that these enemies make absolutely zero noise despite being made of a lot of metal. Rather like Callisto Protocol, the combat works really well 1v1, but as soon as you get 3 or 4 enemies, it's just unworkable. Moving on to the puzzles, and a large part of your time in Atomic Heart will be spent solving puzzles. And that's because, quite simply, Mundfish elongate the puzzling process in this game to pad out game time, and they do it often. It does feel like many of these puzzle sequences have been deliberately inflated to extend the gameplay duration. Furthermore, the game, via the main character, simply ridicules you for repeatedly performing the same task, and quite honestly it just gets a bit annoying after a bit, because it's frustrating enough with the unwieldy controls in these puzzles, having to do them for like an hour, and then the next time the exact same puzzle comes up, the main character mocks you for it. Oh, another one of these.
This place has my favorite thing in the whole fucking world. A relay.
Really? I thought you were more partial to canisters.
These guys,
Come on.
they're taking the piss out of their own repeated puzzles. I wouldn't mind if the rest of the game was really good, but I don't know, it just kind of got to me a bit. Additionally, the puzzles just seem cumbersome, as if the controls are kind of resisting your attempts to understand and control the puzzle mechanic. Consequently, these prolonged puzzle sequences become irksome and wearisome over time. Furthermore, there are several instances when the game just neglects to provide guidance on where to proceed or what to do, despite maybe the previous 10 hours being a literal follow the red dot simulator. And then we've got the small things which all add together to make one big thing. It's kind of hard to tell what doors you can open. Guns are hidden behind RNG blueprints in chests, meaning that for a large part of the game you can go through without unlocking a host of weapons, which is what happened to me. There's a variety of skills, but you only really need to use one, and you can only equip two, with the third being permanently locked in. You can respec, but when kind of the other skills outside the levitation skills are kind of useless, what's the point? Alright, so now let's delve into the open world aspect of the game, and it actually gets worse here. The decision to place cameras all over the place that trigger any metallic object within a 100-mile radius to hunt you down like Terminator 1000 is a terrible choice, and one that completely ruins the open world experience. Throw into that mix as well the fact that any robots you kill out in the open world will be rebuilt by repair robots right in front of your eyes. You gotta remember, you gotta pair this with the previously mentioned ammunition issues, and the whole open world just becomes unreasonable. Furthermore, the primary mode of transportation is a car that explodes at the slightest of impacts, which ultimately results you having to walk everywhere, and there's no run button, so you are walking everywhere. The open world is stunning, and I'll touch on that in a minute, and from a distance it looks like an incredible place to explore, but really it's nothing more than an obstacle course en route to your next main mission. Now sadly, a lot of upgrades for weapons and guns, as well as possible blueprints, are going to be hidden out in the open world, but the open world doesn't really invite you in. In fact, you just want to run past everything, and that's such a shame. And in fact, it's one of the biggest shames of Atomic Heart that they've made this incredible open world that pulls on Soviet era influences, but then sadly throw it into this gameplay loop that is just painful to take part in. Sadly, narratively as well, Atomic Heart is just so uncomplicated. The plot appears so transparent that it's almost difficult to fathom that it could be the actual plot, because it just causes you to think to yourself, surely the plot cannot be this basic, but yet it is exactly that basic. The attempt to camouflage the very standard plot with a great deal of exposition and conjecture. However, once you step away from the smoke and mirrors, it's evident very quickly that the story is fundamentally uncomplicated. After an hour or two, I think it's very clear what the story is going to be, and it never moves away from that line. I do want to extend the benefit of the doubt I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt on the writing. A lot of the writing is like kind of communist satire, so it's kind of like taking the it's kind of attacking the ideology of communism, the collective thought process, and all that stuff. And I think that stuff's really good. As an individual who has studied Russia pre-World War II and during the Cold War, I thoroughly appreciated the references to communist propaganda, in addition to the subtle criticisms and scrutiny of the ideology, both good and bad. The protagonist, however, is...
You don't say.
I just want to say right now, I'm what? It looks like an hour 9 minutes into the game. Already find the main character a little bit annoying. I'm going to put it out there. I know I'm judging early. Just not likable. I'm sorry. I can't give this guy a pass for being this annoying and then criticize the main character in Forspoken. They are equal levels annoying. Not well written. He's also stupid, which just makes you like not want to be him, which is the whole point of a game. You want to play the character. You want to be the character you're controlling. You don't want to be this guy. He's stupid. Quite simply, the protagonist in Atomic Heart is inadequately written, continuously delivering snarky one-liners that prove to be annoying. Additionally, his incapability to comprehend what on earth is going on around him makes it arduous to empathize with him. It is pretty spectacular just to look at. Yo, Alex Ferguson's the leader of this new world. It's crazy. Damn. Okay, so it's time to talk about what Atomic Heart does well, and what it does well, it does brilliantly. In fact, you could argue that the world building here is bordering on greatness. Atomic Heart is a visually stunning game that immerses players in a world that is both fascinating and surreal.
What is that? The floor is electrified. It's a trap.
Son of a bitch! I'm still gonna get you!
Hang on, Comrade Major. I'll try to reduce the charge.
I don't care if I gotta crawl. I'm gonna get that motherfucker.
The visuals are incredibly detailed and feature an impressive level of influence from communist-era Russia. It's vast, it's expansive, with a plethora of different environments, which I really liked. I really liked the kind of differences between every bunker you ended up in. It ranges from sprawling cities to laboratories underground to theaters. All of it, again, just pulling on influences from Soviet-era Russia in every aspect. The setting is a unique blend of science fiction, Soviet-era aesthetics with a dystopian twist that makes for an enthralling experience. The world is populated by bizarre and grotesque robots, creatures, and half-humans. Robots in particular only serve to enhance the game's immersive atmosphere. I love the classic Soviet tributes, the massive murals out in the open world, reminding me of the memorial to the fallen Soviet soldier in Berlin itself. I also love talking to the dead bodies who would be kind of stuck in these memories of their last few moments on Earth, and you'd be talking to them as they kind of relived these traumatic final experience. This added so much atmosphere and world building here as you kind of talk to these people as they were stuck in this loop of the world being burnt to the ground. The art direction helps to create brilliant immersion and atmosphere, and it's an environment that simply draws you in. It's just a shame the gameplay can't do it justice. Alright, so in a nutshell, Atomic Heart is a massive missed opportunity. An incredible world that begs to be explored is absolutely tied down by terrible exploration, gameplay mechanics, combat loops, and a complete lack of enemy variety, as well as interesting bosses to kill. The story is as basic as it gets and as obvious as it gets, and it's very hard to recommend anybody to invest 20 hours of their time in Atomic Heart. The game is free on Xbox Game Pass, and I mean, for free you can't really go wrong, but honestly, 20 hours for a lot of people is a lot of spare time they're going to sink into a game, and for me, I think you can spend 20 hours better in another game. Time is precious. I say this a lot on the channel. Not everyone has infinite amount of time to invest in games. They want to pick and choose which games they invest their precious spare time carefully, and I cannot recommend spending 20 plus hours in Atomic Heart. Have to be honest, that's just my experience of it. I played it live on stream. If you want to watch me talk about games while I review them and play them and have discussions with me about them, feel free to follow on Twitch. Peace guys, take care, look after yourselves, and yeah, let's crack on with Wolong Fallen Dynasty, shall we?